Welcome back to Ringside Ramble. It's Niall, bringing you all the latest news, views, and reactions from around the world of professional boxing. In this video, I'll be discussing a bit about what could be next for Fabio Wardley, of course, after his stunning first round knockout victory over Fraser Clark in the rematch this past Saturday night in Saudi Arabia in the co-main event to Beterbiev Bivol, yeah, of course, defending his British and Commonwealth heavyweight titles in an absolutely phenomenal, stunning display of power to dispatch Clark in round one badly. Yeah, before we kind of move on, just delighted to hear Clark underwent successful surgery for a broken cheekbone after that one. It was a really, really ugly knockout. So hopefully he'll be kind of back at it soon enough if he is to return to the ring, or if he's not, wish him all the best. But an absolutely outstanding display by Fabio Wardley. After such an entertaining first fight where a lot of people thought Fraser Clark won, even though he got knocked down and had a point taken off him. A lot of people still thought Fraser Clark deserved the nod, and people thought Fraser Clark could win a rematch as well by being too well schooled, of course, with his excellent amateur background and his technical ability. But Fabio Wardley left no doubt this time around and put the rivalry to bed. To be honest with that display, I don't think anybody expected a first round KO. Even if they expected a Wardley knockout, they weren't going to expect a first round knockout like he did. And yeah, Fabio Wardley is just. I put it on X the other night on the Ringside Ramble X page. It says, out of all the heavyweights not named Alexander Usyk, Fabio Wardley is my favorite heavyweight in the world. He really is. Anytime Fabio Wardley fights, I have to say it. He's must watch. Just as attributes, he's such fast hands. He's never afraid to let his hands go, and he throws caution to the wind constantly, especially when he has his man hurt. Never afraid to let his shots go, and also that power is a real problem. And to be honest with you, it's a real problem for anybody in the division. I don't care what your name is. If he lands on it, it's going to be a problem. Whether he has the kind of attributes to kind of more attributes to make it a tougher night for the elite. That's up for debate. We're going to discuss that today. But I think, in terms of the power, it's frightening. It really is frightening. It came out online today that Fraser Clark, a quote from Fraser Clark, he said, I've been in boxing for a very long time. He said, nobody's ever hit me like that. And that I think sums it up. He has the touch of death. He really does. To me, he's the most destructive puncher, the most dangerous puncher in the whole division. And I don't think there's any doubt about that. You have big punchers, your Anthony Joshua's, your Daniel Dubois, people like that. And Deontay Wilder, if he still continues to fight, is obviously one of the greatest punchers we've ever seen. But this version of Deontay Wilder, where he won't let his hands go, no. Fabio Wardley is the most dangerous puncher in the division. And if he lands on it, I don't care what your name is, if it's Alexander Usyk or what, you're gonna really feel it. Such a devastating puncher he really is, and it's been a stunning career. It really has been a stunning career. Like he's fighting guys he shouldn't be, have no right to be in the ring with, and beating them. It's well known that the white collar background makes it more stunning to me. And to everybody, white collar background, no amateur experience, and he's British and Commonwealth heavyweight champion, defeating lads that he shouldn't be even in the ring with. And he's only on the up. He shouldn't really win an area title for a white collar boxer with no amateur background, but British Commonwealth champion, and he could go on to do bigger things. Just stunning wins. The likes of the David Adelaide fight scene is 50-50. And Fraser Clark is, this weekend setting that record straight in the rematch and beating such a kind of well skilled, high level amateur like Fraser Clark. Um, Destroying him in the first round is crazy. It really is. So he's the most exciting heavyweight in the world for me. he's must watch every time he fights. He's been gifted with power and athleticism and speed from the gods. You know, boxing IQ wise, not high, understandable from where he came from, but he doesn't need to be when he's gifted with that athleticism and that power and that speed. It'll take you far, and he's proven that it'll take you very far in a division that's quite poor outside the elite. It really is. It's not a good division outside the champions and two or three other fighters. And those attributes will take you very far. Someone who hits like a truck and is never afraid to let his hands go. Has taken Fabio Wardley further than he had any right to go, and will probably take him further. The question now will be what's next for Wardley. There's a lot of interesting options. There really is, and a lot of fascinating matchups. You've got people talking about will he look to win the British title outright. He's one win away from doing that, and if he did look to do that, there's a couple of kind of really interesting options. There's Joe Joyce, who seems to be the main one that's getting talked about. Fabio Wardley versus Joe Joyce. Of course, Joe Joyce's stock is on the floor. It's on the floor after the Zhile Zhang defeats, and then losing to a dreadfully past his best Derek Chisora, who could barely stand up for a lot of that fight and still dropped and beat Joe Joyce. So that would make sense, a headline act and maybe the Copper Box, Wembley, somewhere like that, and all a British heavyweight title fight, and it'd be exciting early. It'd be exciting, but I think this version of Fabio Wardley destroys this version of Joe Joyce in about 3 rounds. He really does. Joyce was never the fastest, of course, and he was always easy to hit, but he was effective in his prime, his pro prime, whenever that was. But this version of Fabio Wardley, fast, lets his hands go, uh, athletic, and punches like he does with that frightening power. Makes mincemeat of Joe Joyce in inside 3 rounds, because the one kind of the one of the best attributes Joe Joyce has looks to be gone in his punch resistance. The Zhang fight, Zhang cracked the chin, was the first one to crack what was considered a granite chin, knocked him out in the rematch, and then he fought Derek Chisora. And although did take big shots off Chisora did drop him. And Derek Chisora at that stage of his career should not be dropping Joe Joyce. His punch resistance is gone, and when your punch resistance is gone against someone like Fabio Wardley, and you're that easy to hit, it's a bad night. Yeah, Joe Joyce is finished. He really is, and it'd be a brutal stoppage for Wardley. It'd be I wouldn't want to see it, because Joe Joyce is not the Joe Joyce of pre-Zhang. He's not even the Joe Joyce of coming off the Zhang rematch. When you lose to Derek Chisora, you know, I don't think anyone who beats you after that, I don't think their stock rises any more than they would have if you fought them before. The version of Joyce that was before Zhang, he's finished. He has nothing left. I actually hope he wouldn't carry on, to be honest. But he's speaking like he will carry on, which is unfortunate, because he's going to get badly hurt. And Fabio Wardley would hurt him badly. He really would. So yeah, I do think that is possible, but I think it's an absolutely devastating defeat for Joe Joyce, and a devastating knockout win for Wardley. So that's one option. Another option on the domestic scene, if it was to be for a British title, I could say, and I don't think a lot of people mentioned, haven't seen a lot of people mention this, will be a fight with Hughie Fury for the British title. Fabio Wardley against Hughie Fury could definitely be a possibility. Of course, Hughie Fury made his comeback a few months ago now, after a long hiatus due to kind of injuries and COVID and that sort of stuff. And he's been on a little bit of a winning streak against very low level opposition, but he could be in line for a British title fight with Wardley. I don't think that. I think that'll make sense, to be honest. It'd be a big headliner, and it'd be a fascinating style matchup. We mentioned Wardley's attributes there, but Yui Fury, he's better than he often gets credit for. He really is. He's a very clever boxer, very very quick for a big man. He's a huge unit, but he's quick, good footwork, fast hands, and it'd be very interesting to see how Fabio Wardley would deal with that. And how long Yui Fury could evade the power, if for long at all. The power and the speed of Fabio Wardley. I think Yui Fury would ask Fabio Wardley a lot of questions, but ultimately Fabio Wardley would come through that. He'd wear Yui Fury down and probably stop him late. But I do think Yui Fury is a very underrated heavyweight who would cause issues for a lot of heavyweights, and I think that's possible. That could be possible if it's not Wardley Joyce at domestic level. Yui Fury, why not do Fabio Wardley, Yui Fury as a headliner in Wembley Arena, copper box, British title, British and Commonwealth titles. I think it'll make sense for both men. So, yeah, Joe Joyce and Yui Fury at domestic level are great shouts. They really are. But yeah, if we move on, if it's not to be a domestic level British title fight, there's he's not looking at world titles next. It's not going to happen. Although I mentioned if he lands on anybody's chin, it's going to be an exciting fight. So if you're looking at these fringe world level fighters, who's the best fighter that he could possibly beat? The Zone on Saturday night put up a list of opponents, and I think they would be either one of them would be a good kind of step up next. There was Otto Wallen, of course, former world title challenger, former Anthony Joshua opponent. There was Jermaine Franklin, another former AJ opponent, the former Dillian White opponent, very capable fighter, and Cassius Chaney, the American. I think I wouldn't complain with any of them. I seen a bit of backlash from fans on Saturday when that graphic got put up on the screen with the zone, but their names, they are name fighters. Well, Cassius Chaney probably not so much to a wider audience, but I'd favour Wardley against any of them. Otto Wallen, very technically good, kind of European style, fundamentally sound fighter, would cause a lot of heavyweights problems. But I just think Fabio Wardley is too explosive, too powerful, too heavy-handed. Um, Wallen might outbox him for a bit, but I'd say he ultimately ends up getting stopped. Yeah, Fabio Wardley just too aggressive, too explosive for Wallen. Franklin, Franklin caused Dillian White problems. Wardley's manager, for Anthony Joshua didn't cause Joshua as much problems, but he is durable and he is game, and he'll come to kind of stick it to Wardley. But so I think he could test him for a few rounds, but I think Wardley would ultimately kind of get to Jermaine Franklin and break his heart. To be honest, I think he'd break his heart down the stretch and stop him with the power, possibly even earlier than that. But yeah, I think Wardley would be Wallen or Jermaine Franklin, and he'd beat Cassius Chaney as well, in my opinion. There's other names you've got. People who are knocking on the door for an immediate shot at world titles, and Martin Bakoli, Adja Kabayel, Zhile Zhang, the absolute number one contenders at heavyweight for the titles. Fascinating fights there, Martin Bakoli and Adja Kabayel, along with Daniel Dubois, the two in-form heavyweights on the planet, the two hottest kind of properties in the heavyweight division at the minute. Bakoli coming off the win against Anderson, Kabayel coming off the wins against Makhmedov and Frank Sanchez. So, yeah, they've been actually ordered to face each other. So that would be a fascinating fight if they face each other next. But if they fought Wardley, Wardley against either of those two would be absolutely fascinating. They bring like different stylistic issues for Wardley to deal with. You've got Piccoli, who's huge, absolutely huge unit, aggressive volume puncher, fast hands, hits like a truck himself. So that will be there'll be a guaranteed knockout. Whoever fought if they ended up fighting each other, there'd be a guaranteed KO, but it'd be an absolute war while it lasted. If I had to pick a winner, I'd say Piccoli, just maybe too big, too quick, and too strong. for Wardley, but there's no shame in that. Martin Bacoli could be world champion. He really could, but that's for another video. We're discussing the limits for Wardley, and then you've got Adjikabiel, very clever boxer. Um, Having a career renaissance at the minute. The talent was always there. Seeing it when he beat Derek Chisora, went quiet for a long time after that, and then came back with two fantastic wins and performances against Arslanbek Makhmadov, beg your pardon, and Frank Sanchez, two dangerous heavyweights, and beat them easily. Really clever boxer, fast hands, good feet, um, really sharp kind of combination puncher, and he can hit hard as well. So he'd be a really dangerous opponent for Fabio Wardley. God, it's hard to pick a winner in that. I would favour Wardley more against Cabiel than I would Bacoli, just because, as I mentioned, Bacoli too big, too strong. But Cabiel more on the small side. He's not a small man, but he's smaller than Bacoli, and I think he would give Wardley opportunities. But I think Cabiel might be a little bit too fast and too kind of versatile for Wardley, and too heavy handed. I think he'd outbox him. Maybe Adjikabiel, I think he'd outbox him for large parts and stop him. I think he could stop Fabio Wardley late, which might be a surprise to some, but I think Adjikabiel is absolute, you know, number one contender for a reason. He's a quality heavyweight, and I think Wardley, as much as I love him and as exciting as he is, I think he does have a ceiling, although I've said that now um, at least once with the Fraser Clark fights, if not David Adelaide as well. And he's proved me wrong. He could probably prove me wrong again, but I think he will reach a ceiling. And I think that kind of Bacoli, Cabiel level will be a ceiling. He could end up fighting for world titles. He could skip those names and fight for world titles. And as I mentioned, he has the power to cause any of them problems, whether your name is Tyson Fury, Alexander Usyk, Daniel Dubois, anybody. He'll if he lands on you flush, you're in trouble. But those men, no shame in that. Fabio Wardley's not beating those men. Well, Daniel Dubois and Fabio Wardley is it could be that's I might be a bit too quick to write Fabio Wardley off for a world title there, like too quickly. But Daniel Dubois and Fabio Wardley will be an absolute firefight, and that will be his most favourable chance for world title. He, you know, I wouldn't be so confident that he beat Fabio Wardley, Daniel Dubois. Like I really wouldn't. Yeah, I think Fabio Wardley would have a good chance there. To be honest with you, it's just the Furies and the Usyks that he's not going to beat. There's no shame in that, but as long as Daniel Dubois is a title holder, if that fight was to get made, it wouldn't be a foregone conclusion to say Daniel Dubois beats him just because of what he's done to Joshua or Hergovich or Miller. Better men than Wardley has faced and beat, but he's there to be hit, Dubois, and Wardley is hits harder than anybody in the division currently. So, that could be an interesting avenue to explore if we're talking about could Fabio Wardley be a future world champion. Who knows? But yeah, that's just my kind of reaction to Fabio Wardley. Well, discussing what could be next for Fabio Wardley and what is his ceiling, after another stunning win against Fraser Clark in one round in the rematch this past Saturday night in Saudi Arabia on the co-main event of that huge card. And yeah, an absolutely frightening performance and KO from Wardley. So let us know what you think in the comments. How far can Wardley go? Am I overhyping him? Am I underrating him? Saying he can't win world titles against the likes of a Fury or Usyk, or he can't beat Cabiel. Let us know what you think. What do you want to see next? Yeah, and just what's Fabio Wardley's ceiling? How much of a kind of frightening prospect are we looking at here? Let us know what you think in the comments. And yeah, as always, please don't forget to subscribe to the YouTube channel. I'd really appreciate it a lot, starting off this channel. Any support to be amazing. So yeah, give us a subscribe, please. Like the video, follow us over on X, and yeah, just get involved. Always great getting involved with as many people as possible and chat debates about boxing. That's what's so great about it. we all have our opinions and our kind of thoughts, and let us know yours either here or over on X. And until next time, take care.